when Uber ride services finally came to Japan in the late 20s. It seemed a perfect fit for Donald Dubois. Post-pandemic trepidation and cheaper online English classes were the final nail in the coffin for his already struggling ESL school, forcing Donald to close down his once flourishing business and seek out gainful employment elsewhere at middle age. Things looked bleak indeed, until, like a godsend, a very timely ad for a life-changing app appeared on his screen. He signed up and did the very best that he could with the resources he had to set himself up for success in his new role. There were two distinct differences between the Western and Japanese versions of the Uber app that were particularly attractive to Donald. One, there were no city or zone restrictions for drivers, largely due to the population crisis. This meant he could earn a living driving at night in any city or area in mainland Japan. Therefore, he could spend his days traveling like a tourist, visiting the scenic sites he was never able to when tied down, and found that this was slowly reigniting his passion for the culture of his adopted country. Donald particularly liked the quiet solitude of abandoned shrines and temples in the vacated rural areas. It was therapeutic in a way, a perfect contrast to the relentless consumerism of the sprawling urban areas he worked most evenings. The other, and most appealing perk that driving in Japan proffered, was a special permit allowing small to mid-sized pets to accompany drivers during work hours. This meant Donald could bring his beloved rescue cat Cookie along for this exciting new chapter in his life. In fact, it fast became the strongest selling feature of his new business. Japan had changed a lot in recent years, but they were still crazy for cats here. And Cookie was a big hit. She also tended to attract a certain demographic. Donald couldn't remember the last time he felt so happy and content. That was until earlier this evening, when he attended to a call to pick up a very tall and slender fare, who abruptly entered the car, not paying any attention to Donald or his customer focus. "There's a damn cat in here," he complained. The belligerent fare then struck the side of Donald's headrest, startling Cookie before commanding him to hurry up. Donald sat in silence, his mind freshly swimming with painful memories of the bullying that marred his childhood and much of his adult life. As the excruciating car ride came to a merciful end, the abusive passenger finally exited the car by slamming the door. Donald muttered under his breath exactly what he thought of him, and the large man stopped dead in his tracks, turned, and then lunged towards the car for a short-lived sprint as Donald floored it to safety. Shaken, Donald parked up in an area on the other side of town and broke down. He felt he couldn't escape the constant abuse he copped in his life. Koshinuke, his ex-wife used to call him. A coward, before she left him alone. On the verge of tears, Donald is shaken back to reality with a knock on the window. "Katsukab desu ka?" Donald rolled down his window to reveal an attractive younger woman. "Katsukab desu ka?" she asked again. Donald confirmed that it was indeed a cat's cab and collected himself, thinking work might be the best thing to clear his mind right now. Her destination, just outside the neighboring city of Toyohashi, Donald suggested taking the highway bypass into the city and doubling back, rather than taking the shorter route through the all but deserted and increasingly dangerous boroughs that preceded it. The woman did not object in the slightest, and then suddenly... "What was that?" she implored. Donald wasn't sure what they had hit, but informed her that his passenger's side front tire was now losing air rapidly according to the ECU's tire pressure sensor. He told her that it was too dangerous to change on the highway, so he would have to park up somewhere safer. The girl reluctantly agreed as they exited the bypass and came to a stop in an area that was unfamiliar to them both. "It'll just be a couple of minutes," Donald promised. And as the girl begged him to please hurry, a larger, darker SUV suddenly pulled up beside them. Donald got a brief glimpse of the driver before he sped off, panic settling in. "Go, now, go," the passenger pleaded. Donald exited the vehicle and retrieved the iron and jack from the trunk to work on the affected tire. Suddenly, high beams from a vehicle parked directly opposite them flashed on, bathing them in light. Donald was paralyzed with fear, yet somehow, perhaps in defiance of his earlier act of cowardice, summoned the courage to walk into the light and face whatever was beyond. Unsure who to call, the girl began to dial an emergency when suddenly a loud crash rang out from the distance. She considered running for the highway, and just as she exited the car, a figure emerged from the lights. It was Donald. He then explained that it was just a friendly local checking to see if they were okay. The girl expressed her considerable relief and said she just needed a second to send her location to her family. Donald told her everything would be alright, and then he said he'd get the door for her. Message sent, she glanced down and noticed that the front tire wasn't flat or damaged at all. Donald did so love the quiet solitude of these old shrines, the eerie calmness of their surroundings, the zen-like state it would put him in, and the privacy, the uninterrupted privacy. But most of all, he just loved to watch them all burn. Just like his cheating poor wife. Thank you for all of your support over the years, and a very special thanks to the Dark Cosmos, Kelly Stephen Sue, Kenya, Richard Turley, Five Plate Destiny, Bowie, Christina, and Patrick Like.